Welcome back to Whiskey Sports. I'm here with my guy Rhett. Man, oh man, I know you're in heaven right now.
What a weekend.
Man,
What a freaking weekend. Huh?
congratulations.
What'd you say?
Congratulations, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I think the whole world should be excited that Bama lost, in my opinion.
Yeah, a lot of people were happy.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Georgia fans out there celebrating. Florida fans were cheering at the Florida game. It's like, that just feels nasty. I never want Florida to cheer for us. But yeah, man, it was pretty surreal. We hadn't beaten them 15 years and they were fully healthy coming in with Bryce playing, and I was very surprised by the outcome just because we're Tennessee and they're Bama. But yeah, man, we're the real deal this year. We need to get healthy though. That was one of the reasons why I was so damn surprised is we had three of our four secondary out, and that part of they would have torched us either way in the secondary. But part of the reason, and then obviously big Cedric Tillman was out, and then announced in the mid first quarter, about 6 minutes into the game, our left tackle got hurt, and I was like, oh God, man, Will Anderson against a backup left tackle just doesn't seem right. But our line blocked beautifully. I mean, I don't was Will Anderson even playing? I, I didn't really see him.
Zero
Um,
sacks.
yeah, our line needs to get a lot more credit with the way with besides the first quarter of the Pitt game. They've had a hell of a season so far. I mean, we averaged 5.4 yards per carry. I don't know if that's ever happened against Bama. Scored 52 points. That hasn't happened since 1907. And the thing is we were hurt and we didn't even play a perfect game. And I know Bama didn't either. They had a ton of penalties. 8 or 9, I think, were pre-snap, so that was due to the kneeling effect, how loud it was in there. But they're the most penalized team in the Power Five, so it wasn't like that was some weird thing with them. They've just been really undisciplined this year. Um, but they're towards the end of the game. Hendon overthrows Brew on a wide open crossing route pick, and then we fumble it, and they pick it up and run it for an easy touchdown. And then in the first half, we had after we scored 28, there was two drives there. We had overthrows for touchdowns. So I mean, looking back, you could have scored almost 70 in that football game with Hendon being only three throws were off, but they were bad misses. So we didn't play a perfect game and we weren't healthy and we went out there and did it. I mean, the with how bad we played, we played really, really sound and really awesome. I'm saying with those three plays that really decided the fact the Bama was going to be close, but the hitch and the Death Star has always been a kicker for them. It always has. You know it as much as I know it from the Iron Bowl that you tend to tear up over every time you watch it. And hell, I probably do too. That was freaking awesome. I don't even remember what 2014,
Yeah, it was 2013 year. I was when
2013.
or we were seniors in high school. And
But that's always been I mean, it was a 50-yard kick. Not a lot of college kickers under the pressure that kick was with the stadium and how loud it was make that kick. But he still should make a D1 SEC college kicker can still make a 50-yarder, and
you
it
gotta
wasn't
make
even
that.
close. So
You gotta make that.
I mean, one of the games of the decade, and I was there to see it. I stormed the field. I smoked my cigar on the field. It was awesome. It
So
was
you
awesome.
get
And
in the field.
now
Did you get to touch the goalpost or throw it out in the
I
rim?
touched the goalpost, and then it was like an hour after the game. I was chilling, just soaking it all in with my buddies outside of near what we call Fraternity Park. And you just saw a group of people still carrying the goalpost all the way around. I mean, they had been carrying it like for the last hour after the game, and then they finally tossed it in the river. But yeah, man,
And
I can't
man,
explain it. It was the best event I've ever been to in my entire life.
I thought he missed the kick. So have
Well, it
you?
was tipped.
No, so it wasn't tip.
No, you got to go on Twitter now.
It's tip now.
There's a perfectly zoomed in picture, and it was rotating perfectly. Now, he actually might have tipped it in, so it was rotating perfectly right off his foot, and then you could see the Bama player. I mean, it was like zoomed in to like almost a micro, and it
They
was
were talking
tipped.
about how the cadence was off and the kicker kind of went early. It was one of those where the ball wasn't down, the ball wasn't down. He was trying to kick, and then the ball came and he kicked. It was just
Yeah, when it happened, I didn't think it was either. But I'll send you that. I'll send you it via text later. The ball was definitely tipped by the Alabama
it
player.
looked like it. Hell, he jumped right over the guy. I
And
mean, there was
honestly,
three
the
of them.
trajectory of the ball off the foot looked like it was going left. So the Bama player might have tipped it straight. I mean, it got over the thing by the hair on her skin, and who knows how many overtimes that game would have went into. I mean, Jesus
Well, y'all
Christ.
went to that 2 point conversion shit that we did
Yeah,
not.
that's true. Which ruined. If it was like, if it
That's one
wasn't the two
play.
point conversion stuff, it could have been like the Texas A&M LSU game that was like 74-72 a long time ago.
The Auburn Alabama game last year. We went to damn two
Yeah,
conversions, and it's
yeah.
one play, one play, one play, one play.
I don't like. I mean, it's to speed up the game. The
It is.
MLB doing the runner on second,
Yeah.
everything like
But
that.
that
But I
makes
don't.
more sense than it does college
It
football.
does, and I like how the MLB also doesn't do it in the playoffs. I think just
Yes.
play until you win.
Yep.
But it was an awesome experience, and it puts you right there in the midst of the playoff discussion. Even with the loss in Athens, where I think we match up pretty well. We obviously our offense, but our big thing on defense is we can stop the run,
Yep.
and they like to run the football, and you know.
No,
So it's a
it's
winnable game. I'm not saying it's in Athens. It's going to be rocking. That's the biggest. They're saying I have a Georgia friend. It's the biggest game in Stanford State. If we take care of business in Kentucky, because we're still Tennessee. We can still lose that game, but it will be the biggest game in Sanford Stadium, which is Georgia's in ever. They've never had a top three matchup in Sanford Stadium. Ironically enough.
no shit.
Um,
I thought that would be the
so but you lose that game. Georgia beats Alabama in the SEC championship, and you're in the playoff if you do what you're supposed to do, beat Kentucky, and then win at South Carolina, which is always tricky, as we know. It gets spooky down there in Columbia sometimes. So,
yeah. Well, man, congratulations. Auburn did not disappoint. We did lose, but we only lost by 14.
and you gave.
We covered a little
I'm
bit.
scared for Ole Miss first. I think Bama goes into Ole Miss 2 or 3 weeks from now and dominates that football game.
Ole Miss beats Alabama.
No, Bama dominates Ole Miss.
Oh,
Y'all ran for how many yards?
I think Tank Bigsby had a day. I think it was 180.
And Jameer Gibbs is one of the best players in the props to Bryce Young and Jameer Gibbs. Good God, they can play some freaking
Dude, Gibbs
football.
is unbelievable.
He is, man.
God. But yeah, man, we took care of business to an extent.
Covered, right? Covered.
Yeah, by 1 point. And that was the most points I want to say I've seen Bryson Arson team um, score, but our defense looked miserable. So we just kind of flip flop. Just
450 yards rushing for Ole
yeah,
Miss.
and I get Lane Kiffin's like a god, and he's very good offensively minded, but I just don't know, man. He's still here. I think this week we're gonna, or I thought it was gonna be this week. It's Thursday now.
Every
Supposed to
time we
be
do this video, you say it's this week. It's this week,
no, no,
and it
no, no,
hasn't
no,
been
no,
yet.
no. That's not where I'm going. That's not where I'm going. That's not where I'm going. We're hiring an AD, John Hartwell, from Utah State. He was the old AD at Ole Miss for about 20 years, I think. So I don't know if that's good or not. I don't know how you determine an
As
athletic
we discussed over texting, I have no idea. The only thing I know how to base it off of is hiring and
hire staff.
firing. Other than
But
that, I have zero idea.
he was at Ole Miss for 20 years, so he has SEC experience, which I'm cool with. I sent y'all a big message about our coordinators. I mean, I didn't realize the resumes of our coordinators. It's kind of,
Terrible.
I don't know why he wanted to have buddy and you just can't do that. Not
Can't do
necessarily.
that in the SEC because your career is a matter of sometimes a month. Like
Correct.
you go for a month and you go defeated and you lose like every game, then you could very well be fired. This ain't Boise State
No.
where 7-5 is okay, or even 6-6 is okay. First year, yes, but
Yeah,
you need to see building block. You need to see something there,
but he's 3-9 in the last 12 games. It's just not going to cut it. Not going to cut it. It
I was
doesn't.
actually in the midst. You're going to be sad. I was in the midst of Nebraska Twitter today because I do like to go when people are having coaches searches and seeing where everything goes. Supposedly, and they have this snapshot of the airplane tracking from Oxford to Nebraska. So if you don't hurry up, Nebraska may. I mean, Nebraska's got a great following. They got great facilities. Again, they're kind of like I think they're right there with Wisconsin, as I was saying, as we were talking about last time. I just don't. I know the Nebraska is basically like Tennessee.
I just don't see Lane
Sure.
leaving the SEC. I mean, maybe be easier, but
Yeah,
that would be tough for me to. I'm not saying I don't know if
they
we're going to
have
get
this.
Lane. They do. I don't know if we're going to get Lane. Um, it's looking like they said if the John Hartwell, the Utah State athletic director, gets hired, the favorite's going to be Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator from Baylor. Um, so Jeff Grimes was at Auburn from 2012 to 2015, 16. He was there with Gus. He was our offensive lineman coach.
Oh no.
Yeah. That's what I read last night. That the
That
report.
should make you sad. Keep Brian if you're going to do that.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know about that hire. I think realistically, we need to call Dion. If we're not going to go get Lane, let's call Dion now. And like I said too, which kind of brings up another point. He was at Ole Miss for a decade. The coach that was at Ole Miss, Hugh Freeze. It makes sense. So we'll see how it goes.
I for Dion, if Dion is expecting, if he's not expecting to try to bring, like he's always said, HBCUs up and stick with them, I don't think that's a good hire because I think if he leaves the HBCU, I think dream job for him is Florida State. And I
Yeah,
think he'd end up going there as soon as no matter the money. I just think he would end up leaving Auburn. And it may be cool for a couple of years, to build to
yeah,
get, because people are going to go play for freaking prime. I mean, come on now. So
yeah,
like maybe that's a stepping stone that you like because you get all these recruits and the good ones, or maybe it's not, and he takes them all with him to Florida State. I
yeah.
just think if he wants to leave the HBCUs, I think Florida State is the end goal for him.
No question. I mean,
You
yeah,
know,
no question. As he should be there.
you'd think if you can't get Lane, you'd think it'd have to be Hugh. I mean, that you would
That's what we
at least
wanted
try to
last year.
go after.
That's what we wanted last year. The boosters, everybody wanted him. Well, then all of a sudden, Alan Green goes, "Hey, stamp it. We're getting Brian Harsin." Everybody was just like, "What? Who? Who is this guy?" And then he brought everybody from Boise over to Auburn, and he just thinks like, "Oh, we're going to be good because we're doing what it's been successful at Boise." And then you go 3-9 in the last 12 games. It's just you can't do that.
And don't get it. I mean, Chris Peterson built Boise State. Ryan Harsin was just kind of the
Yeah,
guy to just grab it and keep it sustainable. It's not like he built anything at Boise State.
yeah,
Um, but that doesn't really mean anything. Scott Frost built it before, Heupel went to UCF. But I think the reason why Heupel's being successful is because he's got such a strong offensive mind and it's just new. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Harsin just brings you another power, pro style offense that really has no wrinkles other than maybe a jet sweep here or there that never works. Um, so I
yeah.
don't know. Some other games, one game that surprises people, I know it doesn't to you. You've always been, and to me, it just surprised me that they ran this well on them. Was Michigan dominating Penn State? Now it was very close in the first half, but Michigan had 418 yards rushing in that football game. And Penn State's, I mean, I know Penn State hasn't played anybody. You'd think they played Auburn, but again, nobody. Um,
Oh,
so everybody thought their rush defense was good. Either they're good, and Michigan's, I know the Corum kid is insane, but 418 yards is impressive no matter what.
oh,
And if they
good.
can keep that recipe and hold the ball, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but hold the ball a really long time for long possessions against Ohio State, they can beat that football team, keep the ball out of Stroud's hands.
I mean, you already know how I feel about Michigan. I'm a Michigan guy. I said it last
I did
year.
not compared to SC. I mean, they got blown out by Georgia. I mean, it wasn't even
Yeah,
close.
but like last year, I just knew it. Just they were dominating line of scrimmage, and I just knew that they were going to beat Ohio State. This year, though, man, I think Ohio State's better. It's going to be an interesting game. I'm excited for that game.
I just don't know. I mean, who knows about Ohio State?
Yeah,
Not the only. Notre Dame is absolutely god awful. I mean, they shouldn't even be a Power Five team at this point.
yeah.
That's the only, I guess, okay team they've played, and
And
they
they
look
say their
terrible.
defense is good. Like, I mean, there's
Whose defense is good?
Ohio State's.
How do we know?
I agree. I mean, I don't think they played a
The
top 20.
second best team they've played is Toledo
Mm,
behind Notre Dame.
mm. Well, they have Iowa this weekend.
Iowa sucks. There's no doubt Stroud and company or that offense is the real deal. I just don't know how do we know if their defense is the real deal or not? If they literally, and
Yeah.
Spencer Petras stinks for Iowa, so that's going to be another blowout. I mean, they may score 6 points. I mean, Spencer Petras, I saw a stat today. He has more attempts than CJ Stroud. More attempts than CJ Stroud. 21, 22 less TDs, and who knows how many less yards. Half the yardage, I think.
I'm gonna tell you, man, it can always be worse. That could be my offense coordinator. I could be going through that. It could always be worse.
Oh, dude, Iowa fans would sell their soul to the devil to score 34 points in a football game. Their offense might be the worst I've ever seen.
It's brutal.
Seriously.
I don't know how the offense coordinator still has a job. To
He
be honest,
shouldn't.
he's still getting talked to. I mean, they're still doing interviews with him. I mean, I don't get it. He'd have lost a job
Because
after
they
the
have a pretty
second
good
game.
defense. Their defense is solid.
Always solid. I mean, they held Michigan to 24 points. I think it was 24-10 win. So
It's just miserable to watch, man. But yeah, I mean, Michigan dominated that. Even in the first half, it was close in the first half, but Penn State got some breaks there. That game probably could have been 50 to
no
nothing
question. No
if
question.
some breaks didn't go Penn State's way. Um, Not surprising to me, but probably surprising to you. Kentucky, beat Mississippi State by 10 points. I mean, I don't really know what to make. I just don't think Mississippi State's good on the road.
I don't know what it is, dude. It surprised me. I mean, it was I don't know if they even scored a point in the first half. It was like 0-0 going in. Like there was like 3 minutes left in the second quarter, and it was 3-0 Kentucky. It was just like it was such a weird game. Like nobody showed up. Um, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know what happened.
they just don't play good away. I mean, they got dominated by LSU.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
They got
it's a really weird. I don't know, dude. That team's just really weird to me, Mississippi State. And people try to compare Mike Leach and Heupel, and they're totally different. Heupel loves to run the football. That's what people don't seem to understand about Heupel. Mike Leach does not run the football at all.
no, no.
Heupel loves. I mean, we run the football a lot, almost sometimes to a detriment to Heupel. Him
Yeah,
trying to establish a run. We average 100, about 200 yards a game on the ground. But when you just throw 65 times in the air like Mississippi State does, I just think it can get predictable, just like if another team ran
yeah,
60 times in a game.
yeah. And I think Bob Stoops is not Bob Mark.
Mark.
I think Mark Stoops is the better coach anyway. Besides, to Mike Leach. I mean, all you got to do play, zone all night if you need to. You know, basically prevent if you want.
Yeah.
You're just going to throw the football,
Yeah.
and the better coach just won.
And then what about that Utah game?
Dude,
Going for two there. Hey man, the ball's on that coach.
Man,
I think they understood we cannot stop USC. So this is it right here. If we're gonna do anything, it's got to be. And you see those calls all the time. And I don't know the last time it actually worked for somebody. Going for two to win the game. It usually doesn't work, but that place was rocking. It was a fun game. And I said before, I actually said Utah would cover 3. I remember saying that, but I said USC was going to drop a game, and I thought it was this one, and they did end up dropping this one.
yeah.
Regardless of how it went down, Utah comes back at the end and then goes for 2. But
See, that's what's going to be the crazy thing at the end is when, let's say Tennessee goes to Georgia and loses. All right, so you got 11-1 Tennessee. That's got a better resume than USC, and let's say Clemson. Let's say Clemson loses.
Well, it'd be the best resume in the country still. No
But
one else plays. That would be our 7th ranked game of the year.
Correct. No, yeah. That's what I'm saying is like, what's going to happen is you're not going to play for the SEC championship, but Clemson and USC are going to play in their Pac-12 and bullshit ACC championship. Well, you got 3 11-1s, but 2 of them with championships. Let's say the 1 through 3 is already done. Who's taking that 4th spot?
Why can't all 3 of them get in and then put Georgia in for when that's what I was saying. Georgia has to beat Alabama in the SEC championship if we were to lose to them.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think the Big 12 is just going to beat each other up so bad because there is actually for the Big 12, there's actually quite a few good teams there. I think that whoever wins the Big 12 is probably going to have 2 losses.
Well, what I'm saying is let's say Alabama. So y'all lose to Georgia, Alabama beats Georgia. So LSU, I'm sorry, Alabama.
Yeah, if that happens, we don't get in.
No, dude. That's what I'm saying is why, in my opinion, you got to put Tennessee over a championship team.
I understand that. Well, we'd have the better resume, but they're not putting 3 SEC teams in, dude. They're just not going to do it. And it's because of the uproar that would happen.
But everyone always wants to argue. You always have to get it right. You have to get it right. That would not be right at all.
Well, and there's your pristine argument for just an expanded playoff.
Yeah,
And I've been a proponent of not having it because I don't think there has been parity in college football. This year, there's parity.
no question.
Every single team in the top 10 can lose every single team in the top three can lose a football game.
Nobody's
You know,
dominant.
it used to be like, yeah, no one's beating Alabama or Georgia or Ohio State. I mean, it's just not possible. And that's where I was like, why extend it when we just know what's going to happen? This year, you don't know. There's finally parity. You don't know what's going to happen,
Yep.
you know? So I don't know, man. I think we get left out in that. If they will not put three SEC teams in it, regardless of resume, which stinks. But I just think that's the way they're going to do it. Um, let's see. And I have a question for you. Do you think Syracuse is fraudulent or not fraudulent? And they get a big test. They got to go to Clemson this week, so we'll get.
Uh,
That's kind of leaning into that. I want to get your take on this because I have a take.
I think that this is the best football that Syracuse will ever be. Um,
That does not mean you're not. That doesn't mean they're not fraudulent.
I think they're fraudulent. I think that it's Syracuse. They don't have football. You don't think, oh, Syracuse. Let's think.
But that doesn't mean they're not fraudulent. I'm just throwing that out there.
I think that they're fraudulent. I think this is the best that they can be, but they just can't beat good teams. I
Yeah.
think they're going to go you're 7-5, 8-4 compared to what they used to be, winning 2 to 3 games a year. I think this is kind of they're at the top where the max out for their program. I don't think they can get any better. I think I definitely think they're fraudulent, but
I do as well.
I just think they're just good because it's Syracuse. Like, oh, you know what? Syracuse is wow a lot better than what they used to be, so they're good. They're considered good. You see what I'm saying?
No, yeah, I'm with you on that. I that's why I asked you the question. I think they're fraudulent as well.
Yeah.
They beat NC State last week, who one couldn't score the football with Devin Leary, and then you don't have Devin Leary, their
Yeah.
quarterback.
Their quarterback was
They ain't
out.
gonna score. I mean, their offense is not good
Yeah.
in the first place. So I didn't think that was a big win for them.
Oh.
And I don't think people should write into it that much. And I think Clemson comes out here, and maybe their defense is kind of good. Maybe they hold Clemson in the first half or something. But I think Clemson pulls away.
So say
Um,
Clemson's up here, Syracuse is down here. Clemson, their defensive front is unbelievable. All of them are going to be playing in the NFL.
yeah,
Their defense is very good, and they're going to see it. They're the Appalachian State. They're coming in and they're going to come play big boy ball, and it's like, okay, sorry, we're in the wrong place. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
They're going to do what they need to do against their, Virginia and their whoever else they play, some bullshit teams that when they come play the big boys, as they get put in their place. They know to go over there in the corner.
All right, fair representation.
That's going to be that Clemson -13 moral lock.
Well, let's get into it.
First game is Iowa and Ohio State. Ohio State's -29, and the over under is 50. Very, very tricky. Very, very tricky.
I mean, it's such a tricky game because you have on one hand, I'm like, Iowa can't score the football.
Yeah.
All Ohio State needs is probably 35 points. Maybe you give Iowa a field goal and they cover. But then it's like, what if they do somehow get a backdoor cover or anything like that, and score 10 points and they hold because Iowa's got an OKD. They hold Ohio State to 38 points and they cover 38-10. So in that fact, I would probably stay away from this football game. But if I were going to bet, it would still be Ohio State.
Yeah.
I just don't think Iowa can score the football at all. And they've proved it this year. I don't know if they scored over 10 points this year. I mean, they've been that bad. So I like Ohio State at least getting to 40, regardless
No
of
question.
how,
Yeah.
I just don't see it. I see a 40-10 type game, 40-7, maybe even more than that. I don't know. This is a big test for Iowa. So
Yeah, I like Ohio State -29. I'll probably buy it to 28, but I definitely think Ohio State will beat them by more than 31 or right at 31. It could be 42-10, somewhere around there.
yeah.
The 50 is what it is too it's too close. Because I can see 49-0 win.
Yeah, no, yeah.
49-3. Or I'm sorry, that's over. But like 49.
I don't like the over under there.
Yeah,
I think
no.
it's a tricky bet because everybody's been betting Iowa unders, but I think this is the one where
Yeah.
Ohio State can go cover themselves almost.
The line is 30 already.
Yeah.
All it takes is I don't know, man. That the over under is too tricky, but I like 29 for sure. 28. The next game is what you're talking about, Syracuse and Clemson at Clemson. Clemson minus 13 and a half, over under 49 and a half.
Give me Clemson and just they're just too much
Yeah.
for Syracuse. They're not going to be really ready for this type of environment because Clemson's going to bring it to the fans. I know it's a noon game, I think, but I still think it'll be pretty lively in there. And give me, I would if I was going to bet, I would go to the under as well. If I was going to bet, I just don't. Clemson around 30 and Syracuse maybe around 6 to 10. I don't see Syracuse scoring in this matchup much at all.
I think it's going to be a close game at first, like going into halftime. When I say close game, I'm thinking 14-3 going into halftime,
Yeah.
and then Clemson kind of putting the pedal or gas on the pedal. I like Clemson minus 13 and a half, and I like the under 49 and a half as well. I think it's going to be about 35, 10 maybe around there.
Yeah.
But next game is Minnesota and Penn State. Minnesota is +4. They had a lot of hype going into last weekend. I think they played Illinois. They had a lot of hype going in that game, how good Minnesota was, and Illinois came out and beat that ass. So I like Penn State at home. I'm probably going to buy the point down to 3. Um, I think Penn State's going to be able to run all over them. I don't think Minnesota's going to be that good, especially away. And they just kind of lost their season getting beat by Illinois. So I think there's a lot of clashing going on in the locker room. So I like Penn State -3.
Yeah, that Illinois game is a little bit tricky because Illinois is a better football team than people think this year, which is weird to say for Illinois. They got a really good defense. And I'm also scared of Penn State's run defense this week because of what they did with Michigan. Because Minnesota can run the football, especially if they got their is it Abrams? It's something like that. Their lead back who's really darn good. But I like James Franklin in a bounce back game here in Penn State. They're going to come. They're going to be pretty pissed off. It's at home. Yeah, give me Penn State.
Next game is West Virginia and Texas Tech. It's at Texas Tech, and it's -6, over under 65.
Mm. Um, this is a tough one, man. Texas Tech's looked good at times this year, and they've also looked kind of bad at times this year, just like West Virginia. West Virginia's looked good at times this year, and they've looked bad at times. And I don't know. I think with Texas Tech just being at home, I'm just going to go with Texas Tech because I'm just not. You're on the West Virginia train. I know you're going to go West Virginia,
I am
but
on the
I
train.
just think at home you'll get a better version of the Texas Tech team this year, and I think you'll get the worst version of West Virginia team.
Yeah, I mean, they did play Pittsburgh pretty well on the road. Um, I like West Virginia plus 7, and I also like the over. There's going to be no defense whatsoever.
Yeah,
You
none.
know, I think it's smart to do for it to be 6. But that's why I like to buy the point for +7 for West Virginia, because I feel like it's going to be just like the Tennessee Alabama game. Whoever has the ball last is going to win. Well, that's whoever has the ball last is going to win. So I think West Virginia +7 is definitely going to be the play for me. Even if I push, that's fine. I push.
Yeah,
Uh, but I have been pushing a lot lately. The past 3 games I've been pushing. It's been
yeah.
crazy. Been crazy. Like last night, Grizzlies, man. God, we had what, 19.
That's the NBA. The NBA is really. I mean,
Tyus
no,
Jones
no
had
lead
2
is safe
free
in the
throws.
NBA.
Tyus Jones had 2 free throws with 4 seconds left in overtime. We're up 3. He missed both. And he's an 82% free throw shooter last year. He missed both free throws. All you got to make
Hmm.
4. We won 115, 112. I pushed. I can't be upset. I pushed.
No, he didn't lose money. That's for sure.
Next game is UCLA and Oregon. People say game of the week. UCLA and Oregon at Oregon. Oregon's -6.5, over under 70.5. I like the upset. I just think it's because it's screw Bo Nix, to be honest with you. I don't think he plays that well in big games. I really don't. I like UCLA in a touchdown.
All right. At home, Oregon play or Bo Nix has generally played pretty good at home, and against bad defense or good defense he hasn't. But I don't think UCLA really has the defense. But I do think they'll be able to. They should be able to score the football. I'm always just scared about UCLA. There's still a chunk of me that says they're fraudulent.
Yeah.
Maybe all of me that says they're fraudulent. I just don't like the Pac-12. These games are always so weird. But give me a shootout. Give me like 49-42. If I push, that's okay. So give me half point. Give me UCLA +7. I'm not comfortable going the money line though.
Yeah, no. And the only reason why I'm picking UCLA is because bonus. It's not because I
Yeah,
don't believe in
but
UCLA.
DTR is a good football player, man.
Yeah,
He's a really good football player, and so I think he'll be able to keep up. But if Oregon comes out and punches them in the mouth, this very well could get ugly very quickly.
it could. It could. Because if Bo Nix starts out hot and confident, he's gonna be playing pretty good. So it's gonna be a fun game. I think I actually probably will watch that game.
Yeah,
Um, Next game is a pretty big game. Texas at Oklahoma State. Texas -6.5, and the over under is 61. Um, we did see Quinn Ewers back last weekend against Iowa State.
he was back 2 weekends ago too against Oklahoma.
You're right. They did not look too hot last weekend against Iowa State. I don't know about Iowa State. I mean, they're kind of not that good this year. So I I like Oklahoma State in a touchdown, baby. We're going underdogs this weekend. I like
Yeah,
Oklahoma State.
Iowa State is like the worst record wise in the Big 12, but they have a solid their defense has been pretty solid this year. Looking back at some of their stats and everything. But if you're going to give me a touchdown at Oklahoma State, I don't know how, I still think Oklahoma State, there's a part of me that thinks Oklahoma State is still a little bit fraudulent, but coming off of that tough loss away at TCU last week, I may even sprinkle money line here. Oklahoma State's going to in Stillwater. It's going to be rocking.
Yeah,
And Spencer Sanders, he's older. He's been a 5-year starter, it seems, against the freshman Ewers. I may sprinkle money line here, but for sure, Oklahoma State +7. This is going to be a good football game, I think.
yeah. Um, Prime time game of the month or game of the week. Ole Miss at LSU. I don't know what's going on, but LSU is -2.5.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
saw
know.
that.
I don't know if Vegas is just trying to slap me in the face and say you won't do it, and then LSU come out and win. I have no idea. But in my head, looking at it and knowing SEC football, it's a no doubt Ole Miss +3. No doubt.
I think the scary thing is people are still looking at that LSU Tennessee game and being like LSU's terrible. I think Tennessee's just that fucking good.
No
Sorry
question.
about my language. I just think
No
we're
question.
that good.
Yeah.
And they haven't shown in any other game. The Florida State game was a struggle, but Florida State's not a terrible team. And
Yeah.
they come out in the swamp and just beat the crap out of Florida and actually scored some points. So I'm really scared of that line because I think people are, and they made a lot of mistakes in the Tennessee game. I think people are actually underrating Tennessee in the fact that Tennessee's just that good. I think they can stop the run in this, not stop the run. No one's going to stop Ole Miss's run game, but I'm scared of that. So I'm going LSU in this in Death Valley. That's a weird line to me.
The
It's
thing
it's
is
it's
that Ole Miss,
smelly.
it's weird, but Ole Miss, or I mean, LSU's not going to be able to score as much as Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is just going to outscore them, continue to go, 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 go.
But you could go the other way and saying Ole Miss's defense is terrible and LSU's defense is actually pretty good. No, you just saw no one
Correct.
can stop Tennessee.
Yeah.
Alabama just gave up 52. Like you can't judge someone off their game against Tennessee. It's just not fair to them.
Yeah. I'm not, I'm just basing it off all year.
Yeah.
Daniels is just inconsistent. He can't throw in the pocket.
Yeah.
You contain him in the pocket and make him beat you with his arm.
Right.
Ole
It's
Miss,
just smelly to me. I'm
it
not
is. It's just
Ole
weird.
Miss is the better football team
Yeah, it's just
by a
weird,
couple touchdowns, probably.
dude. I don't know. I don't
It's
know why.
smelly, man.
I don't know. But guess what?
But the Tennessee game was
I'm
also
taking the
smelly,
bait.
wasn't it? I mean,
I'm taking the bait.
you were only 2.5. We were only 2.5 points against favored against LSU. I know it's the opposite now, but we were
Yeah.
only 2.5, and I put $100 on it. I was like, there's no way we don't cover that. So maybe they just overrate LSU.
Which I'm fine with that because I would think that's easy money, and I say that
Yeah,
now. I bet Ole Miss, I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna come out here
yeah,
next week and be like, "That's my bad." But I'm taking Ole Miss. I have to in the points. Three
yeah,
points, a field goal. Okay, I don't know.
yeah.
Next game, Mississippi State, Alabama. Alabama minus 21 at home, over under 60. Um, I'm hopping back on the train, brother. Mississippi State plus 21, sprinkle Mississippi State money line. I'm telling you, they're a dark horse, and they just lose games all here and there.
It's a yeah. It's a
But this,
way. It's a way after a loss for Saban. Give me a freaking beat down. Give me a beat
I'm going
down.
all underdogs this week. It
I
seems like
mean, Mississippi State,
it.
they're just not good on the road. They can't score on Kentucky. They're not going to score on Bama really. If it gets to a shootout, I mean, they're going to score a lot
But
of
you saw
points.
last weekend. I'm not trying to compare apples to oranges, so don't freak out when I say this. Mississippi State is going to be able to throw all over Alabama's defense. I'm not saying I'm not comparing
What you
Hendon.
think,
I'm not
man?
not comparing Will Rogers and Hendon. I'm not doing it. But I'm going to tell you right now, the way I saw Alabama secondary play last weekend was miserable. When they played anybody that could
Sure.
pass, miserable. Realistically, if Quinn Ewers stays in that game at Texas, they are getting beat. He was
They're at
throwing
home.
all over them.
Yeah. Hey, you're talking major shit right now, and I just know what's going to happen.
I know that's the thing. But we've said that all year. Oh, this is Nick Saban, Alabama's team. But this is
You've
not Nick
said it
Saban.
all year with Mississippi State.
This is not Nick
And
Saban
they
and
went into
his
Death Valley.
regular
They scored
team.
15 points. They went into Kentucky. They scored 17 points. They suck.
Yeah, I will say I
On
guess
the road, they are not good. They are not good on the road.
take back the sprinkle the money line plus 21. I don't
21,
know anything
21
about
points is a lot of points.
that's a
For
lot.
that secondary, Tennessee has way better athletes than Mississippi State does on the
Correct.
outside.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
Will
want
Rogers can carve this team up. There's no
that's
doubt
what I'm
about it.
saying. If he has a good game, dude, Mississippi State's gonna win that game.
Yeah.
But
Okay, not win the game. Come on now.
I said they're my dark horse.
For what? They have two losses. They're not a dark horse for anything
Oh, that's
anymore.
right. I had them beating Kentucky. Yeah, you're right. They're not my dark horse anymore. I guess they got under horse.
Dark horse to beat Bama.
Yeah. Yeah. Shit. We'll do a little couple NFL games. We got Lions and Cowboys. Cowboys -7. What do you like?
Sneaky line there, but I like the Cowboys in a bounce back game.
Cooper Rush had a bad game, 3 interceptions, and they were still close in the game.
Yeah.
And dude, to be honest with you, the Eagles could be argued with the best team in the NFL right now. Them boys are hot. The defense is good. Offense is good. I
Yeah.
like Cowboys on a bounce back as well. Giants and Jags. Jags -3. I like Giants +3 and sprinkle a little bit of money line. I like the Giants. They play with a bunch of confidence right now. Daniel Jones isn't that great, but he
Doesn't
does
need to
just
be.
enough. He does
Needs to
just
go to miss. If he goes mistake free in a game and they just focus on Saquon, they're good because their defense is really good this year.
yep.
I like them +3 as well. Maybe a little bit of a trap, but
Yep.
I just don't. I like the Giants in this game. They play for their coach. That coach is a player's coach. He's like a Vrabel.
Colts and Titans. Titans -2.5. I like Titans money line. I'm not gonna give any points to the Colts, but I like Titans money line.
Yeah, at home, both teams are, they're both mediocre at best. But at home, I'll take Titans with a field goal.
Other than that, we're about to run out of time.
Peace.
Just let it run out.
Wait, better cut it.
I can cut this.
Yeah, we don't give it